Welcome back to The Truth is Viral. My name is Bob Powell, and in this episode, Libertarian Presidential candidate Gary Johnson is going to tell us what he thinks of extrajudicial killings like those of Anwar al-Alawki and Robert LaVoy Finicum, both of whom were assassinated by the Obama regime without ever having been charged with a crime.
You're watching The Truth is Viral, the only news program on the internet trusted to deliver the truth since 2008. And now, here's your host, Mr. Bobby Powell.
The Fifth Amendment to the Constitution states, in part, "No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law." Please note that the Fifth Amendment specifically states no person. It does not say maybe this person because we think he might be a bad guy, or maybe that person because someone said he might be a terrorist. It states no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. My friends, that's very unambiguous language, and it was worded that way because the Republic had just been born out of a war against a tyrant who used a star chamber to mete out justice to enemies of the crown, and the founders wanted the rule of law, not the whim of a king, to govern the newly born United States. On September 30th, 2011, Barack Obama flipped his middle finger at the Constitution when he authorized a CIA drone strike that fired Hellfire missiles that took the lives of Anwar al-Alawki and Samir Khan. Al-Alawki had been a Muslim cleric who was once hosted by the Pentagon as a moderate Muslim, somebody that they could work with, but who quickly outlived his usefulness and was targeted for assassination. Now, I'm not here to defend al-Alawki, a man who obviously hated the United States and was most likely the terrorist that the Obama administration claimed that he was. I'm here to defend the right of all American citizens to be treated equally under the law. Shortly before al-Alawki was killed, I had the opportunity to speak with Libertarian Presidential candidate Gary Johnson about the shoot-to-kill order given to the CIA by Barack Obama that was targeting a citizen who had been born in Governor Johnson's state of New Mexico. And here's what he had to say. That man is an American citizen.
Exactly.
He has never been charged with a crime, much less convicted of one. Yet President Obama has issued a shoot-to-kill order on him.
That is very troubling. Very troubling.
So, do you think that when the President of the United States can issue an execution order on an American citizen without having been brought to trial? Do we live in a dictatorship now?
Well, and what you point out is very troubling, yes.
Troubling must be newspeak for tyrannical. But whatever it was that Johnson meant, troubling was an understatement, to say the least. After al-Alawki's assassination, I spoke to ACLU attorney Nate Wessler, who was on the ACLU's National Security Project, which specifically handled the question of whether or not the administration could use drones to target American citizens overseas. And he stated on the record that the Obama administration was lawless, that the president had assumed the duties of judge, jury, and executioner all by himself.
So if the government in fact had information that Anwar al-Alawki was engaged in actual activity that was likely to lead to the deaths of U.S. citizens or others, or that he actually had engaged in that activity, then that should furnish the government with grounds to go to court, seek an indictment, charge him, and proceed to trial. And there are lots of examples in recent years and in the further past of successful prosecutions against people accused of terrorism. And really, without more information from the government, it's impossible to know what kind of evidence they had. If they had to go to court, they would have to produce evidence to the judge or the jury, prove their case, and then a verdict would be issued. Here, the government, the president, and those working for him seem to have taken on the duty of judge, jury, and executioner all by themselves.
Those words were very familiar to me because I'd heard them before. I have here a copy of the Federalist Papers. That's a compilation of letters and opinions on the rule of law by our founding fathers. And writing under the pen name of Publius in Federalist Paper number 47, James Madison states that the accumulation of all powers, legislative, executive, and judiciary, in the same hands, whether of one, a few, or many, and whether hereditary, self-appointed, or elective, may justly be pronounced the very definition of tyranny. The Obama regime made up the law that allowed him to kill an American citizen who was not actively engaged in combat. It did not bring charges against al-Alawki or his traveling companion, North Carolina native Samir Khan, in a court of law. They didn't even take their case to a FISA court, which is specifically impaneled to hear classified evidence. Barack Obama simply judged these two American citizens to be guilty of a crime worthy of the death penalty all by himself, and he ordered their deaths at the hands of the CIA. At the moment those missiles took the lives of al-Alawki and Samir Khan, Barack Obama became judge, jury, and executioner, the set of characteristics accurately described by James Madison as the very definition of a tyrant. 2 weeks later, al-Alawki's 16-year-old son Abdul Rahman, who was born in Denver and was never associated with criminality of any type other than having a scumbag for a father, was also killed in a drone strike ordered by Barack Obama. But the regime says that the child's death was a mistake. Yeah, I believe that. The right to a trial before the government can take the life, liberty, or property of an American citizen has been a cornerstone of American jurisprudence for more than 200 years. But that was all wiped away by a tyrant king wielding a pen and a phone. Obama set this unconstitutional precedent with the assassination of a scumbag that nobody but his family cared about. Truth be told, had al-Alawki been found guilty and sentenced to death by a legitimate court, I would have been happy to fly a drone with my son's Xbox to punch his ticket myself. But the fact is, as guilty as he might have been, the Obama regime murdered that man without even attempting to provide him the due process guaranteed an American citizen by the Fifth Amendment. Defending Obama's decision to kill al-Alawki, former Attorney General Eric Holder wrote, "It is possible, I suppose, to imagine an extraordinary circumstance in which it would be necessary and appropriate under the Constitution and applicable laws of the United States for the President to authorize the military to use lethal force within the territory of the United States." Think about that, folks. Drone strikes against American citizens who've never been charged with a crime inside the United States. Senator Rand Paul took to the floor of the Senate to decry this practice that he called appalling.
Senator Wyden asked Brennan this in the committee hearing. He says, can you kill an American on American soil with a drone without a judicial hearing? And Brennan didn't answer the question. So we've asked it in writing. My understanding is Senator Wyden has asked this in writing, and we don't have an answer. So if you're not going to answer no, I think that means you're essentially telling us, yes, you believe that the president has the power to kill an American in America. That is appalling.
If you remember, I warned you after al-Alawki had been assassinated that it was only a matter of time before an American patriot would be killed under this precedent set by Obama that allows the federal government to take the life of an American citizen who has not even been charged with a crime in a court of law. Unfortunately, that prediction came true when Robert LaVoy Finicum was murdered at a dead man's roadblock in Oregon. The federal government declared that those who had occupied the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge were enemy combatants, ordering what had been a completely nonviolent protest to be ended with deadly force. While he was killed by firearms on the ground instead of a drone, it was the precedent set by Obama's assassination of al-Alawki that allowed the government to murder Robert LaVoy Finicum in Oregon earlier this year. Operating against their own policies, the FBI ambushed Finicum's convoy on its way to a meeting with the sheriff in neighboring Grant County. FBI regulations state that a dead man's roadblock is only to be used to stop a fleeing felon with a history of violence. FBI HRT snipers fired at Finicum, a gentleman who had never once threatened or committed a violent act, the moment that he stepped out of his truck with his hands raised, and then they lied to Oregon State investigators about taking those shots. 8 months ago, I told you that Mark McConnell was an informant for the FBI, and very few people believed me.
There have been some suspicions for a while now, but today we finally did learn that a man named Mark McConnell, who was the man driving the Jeep with Ammon Bundy inside before he got arrested, was in fact a government informant.
Testimony in the Bundy brush war trial in Portland by an Oregon state trooper proves that he was exactly what I said he was. A slimy snitch that sold out the Bundys for a few dollars. A rat that led LaVoy Finicum and the rest into a deadly ambush. Now I'm going to make another prediction based on one thing that I know to be true. If the elite snipers of the FBI's hostage rescue team can do anything, it is to hit what they're aiming at. The convoy had been stopped by the FBI for several minutes just before the ambush, and the FBI had plenty of time to take note of who was sitting where in those two vehicles. Based on the trajectory of the shot that entered the roof of LaVoy Finicum's truck and broke out the rear passenger window, I believe that an FBI sniper had intended to put a bullet right through Ryan Bundy's head. Had Bundy not been on the floorboard of the truck when the shot was taken, that is exactly what would have happened. I also believe that a fragment of that bullet is currently lodged in Bundy's shoulder, and under no circumstances should that evidence be allowed to disappear. This is not a partisan issue, my friends, because now that these precedents have been set, the power to kill anyone at will can be assumed by subsequent presidents, Democratic and Republican alike. If you think that the list of Hillary Clinton's dead enemies is long now, what do you think would happen should she become president with the full capabilities of the U.S. military at her beck and call? I would hope that a President Trump would not abuse the constitutional rights of American citizens in this manner, but if there is one thing that I've learned in this life, it's to never put anything past anybody. So today's bit of wisdom is this: never be surprised at the ability of human beings to deceive and disappoint you. True faithfulness can only be found in Jesus Christ. His arms are spread wide, aching to hold you and grant you the salvation that he purchased with his own blood. Salvation that he offers freely to any and all that ask. Go get it. Now, as soon as I get this new studio up and running, The Truth is Viral will be coming to you live 5 days a week. I have a stellar lineup of guests scheduled that will help me bring you the news that the mainstream media ignores, spins, or just plain lies about. Remember to like, comment, and share this video in every way that you can. Put it on all of your social networks and all of the Facebook groups to which you belong. If you have the ability, please go to bobpowell.blogspot.com and hit that PayPal button to donate whatever won't put you out. I really need your help to save lives and win souls for Jesus Christ in these very last days. Remember to subscribe to The Truth is Viral on YouTube, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and at Bobby Powell on Google Plus to keep up to date on the latest news as we approach the return of the King. Thank you for watching The Truth is Viral. My name is Bob Powell, and as always, God bless. Simplify.
Thank you for watching The Truth is Viral with your host, Bobby Powell. Make sure to follow The Apocalypse on Twitter at The Truth is Viral. Like The Truth is Viral on Facebook, and if you can, please remember to donate to the cause via PayPal at www.bobpowell.blogspot.com.
Back runner, your game is